more of a
So-
aluminum. It doesn't have the shell.
It's technically a blunt, but it's not the blunts that of olden days where you cave in the person's skull. That's
It's a blunt.
built like a feather,
Yeah.
but closer to a sword.
It's a blunt that acts like a feather instead of a blunt that acts like a sword that is not sharp.
So people with scar.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've taken that into torments.
Alright.
It's incredibly safe.
Apparently stretching is something I should do once in a while. My legs definitely use right now. I would ever just like afford like a private masseuse, just be on call. Be like, hey, I want a massage. Come over for a massage.
The reason that version club lasted so long in his career that he had a 90-minute massage every day.
I keep saying that, oh, I'm gonna schedule myself a massage. I'm gonna get myself a massage. And then I don't do it. I can go for a 90-minute hot stone.
If I didn't saw her in Flushing and they tried the hot stones, they did not know what was going on with that. Because they hadn't heard of it before. They were like, this is very painful. Please stop.
Well, I did it once and it wasn't painful. So
You can never see how
here's the rest of it. Did they put something between the stones and your skin?
No. Was this supposed to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just use straight up charcoal.
Forwards. Torso twists. Lunge. Stretch the flexors. Text on the right. Alright, sword whips in the left hand.
4 pictures. The one's that always got the leading profile.
Oh, last week after the sparring,
Mhm.
when I was doing the beginner catch up for beginners on that. At one point, I caught myself in the mirror and was like, I'm a sweaty mess right now.
I mean, you were.
I was. Alright, so the drills for today, the 3 drills that I'm going to want to do are striking, which is not just striking of the cold steels, but there's also going to be a striking and turning drill, where there's going to be a cold steel held in front, in behind, and to one side, based on right and left-handed, or where you start basically. So the striking drill will be to strike the cold steels, and then strike, turn, strike, strike. And get 3 in a row. The second drill is the Edelson drill. You probably remember this one. This is the 2-part drill where you start with someone holding their cutter, and you start from up top, push it down, where you strike for the blade without a step to try to. The weapon's job is to notice my tells when I'm about to strike. My job is to recognize my tells, reduce them so that I can start with it. And then we get even nearer because you step back and you step in with the strike.
And that one's almost impossible to the other person's sword.
Almost impossible.
Almost.
And then if you have time after that, we'll do thrusting drills. Thrusting drills are always good. All right, so there are a total of 5 of us. So we're going to start off in a line. I'm going to hold the cold steel out. We are going to strike it twice. Once without a step, once with a step. There are exactly 3 strikes that I can definitively say. This was Hilda, this is Justin, and this is Justin.
I mean, I can hit it harder if you want.
As long as you're striking, go ahead and hit a little bit harder.
You make mark?
2.
What, did I still not look more?
I hit.
Right now you're making me mad.
Yep. So, kill those. Justin, and Morgan.
Oh, come on, I was
Yeah,
right
you got
up
another
already.
chance. Yep.
Okay, good. Now I have to say she was bad at that too.
Yep. All right. No. Well, yes, but no. This is going to. So first off, how did those strikes feel?
Next
Felt.
strike.
I think it would be better if I
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to follow through because when you hit it, it bounces back.
There's a little bit of that.
It's not like kind of
I
killing.
want you to hold it. Hold. The cut versus the cut through. Nice, I'm in the same spot. I can tell because I left the pink in the middle of each cut. The feeling for you should be virtually the same. The feeling for holding the sword should be virtually the same. It's just our intention afterwards. Do I want to cut in such a way that I'm now threatening? Which is something we want to do when we make a parry. We cut into the parry and then thrust in. Or is this one of the preparatory strikes that we're making where I'm cutting down so that to back up?
How do you strike with intention, but then not go all the way? Yeah, but I do it badly.
So go ahead and put down the gold scale. So one of the things that we can do to decide where we're stopping our cut, or stopping the blade, I shouldn't say stopping the cut. Stopping the blade is actually how we cut in the mechanics of cutting. Basically, the point where we grip our sword. The extension of our arm, here, full extension and full grip. The difference between here and here is what my shoulders are doing. So where I want to stop is going to be where I'm aiming for. So if I were to actually make this the second drill. The first time through, I want you to aim for the lower sword. And then the second time through, you're going to aim for just the first sword and not just the second sword. So the first time, I want you to hit both swords with your sword. And I'm holding them this way. So that
There's a gap.
there's a gap, and the one going down, which I'm not going to be able to one hand hold this horizontal if you hit it. It's going to rotate. It's going to flex.
Okay, so both the first time.
Yep. Aim for the second sword. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to get everybody through.
Right.
We're going to do this a couple times.
There's a great word for being able to do this. Yeah. Control. That's all kind of control.
I don't think I was all the time with that.
I mean, there are a lot of people who would go and they could hit both swords, but they wouldn't be able to just hit the top sword.
Yep. I'm intentionally not holding it too hard. Let me do that again. Aim for the second sword. I will aim to cut through both swords. So you're starting to see that control, answering the question that you had about how do I control cutting through versus just cutting and stopping. So everybody cut through and hit them both, though obviously this provides an impediment. So the striking of the second sword is a little bit lighter than this. I haven't gone halfway through yet. But we can still hit that first sword with power and a strike, getting it to move. So the next one is going to actually be for everybody to get involved. Because what's going to happen, I'm going to, if you're not actively striking, set your sword down here. So how it's going to be is, you're going to take your sword, and come here, you're going to strike this way, take that sword, turn, that sword, turn, hit that sword, put your sword down, take the position of this person. So hold the sword for the next person.
Right, people want the sword should be last.
Can't do a job without thumbs.
I've done this so long.
Look, I know you're not gonna, see yourself, but I'm willing to take that risk with everyone else.
Fair enough. The goal is going to be to hold it out below your floating ribs, about the height of your floating ribs. Just to give you a nice rough estimate of where it will.
Oh, you can close it.
No. I was just saying that about my friends. But wait, this might take a second. That's okay.
That's all right. There are 5 of us, so
Take a
somebody
break.
can grab the third cold steel, and the other person will grab their sword because they're going to do it first.
And I'm not afraid of being, that person to wear masks. Although, I've known all of you long enough that if I don't trust you by now, then
So you're going to take, yeah, take. Good. Just marking the starting spot for everybody to know that this is the center of all 3. Yep. Ticket. do a quick demonstration, and then you can just follow it. And mark in the center. Cut. 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 And then you set your sword down, rotate out, take a position. That's going to take the back edge, it's going to take others. Go ahead.
Okay.
That way there will always be someone cutting, someone getting ready, and you don't want it. Good, then we're going to change the drill a little bit. If I can stand off to one side. So, before we continue to modify this, first strike, simple, that's how we do it. How do the second and third strikes feel?
The second strike for me was
Just repeats. Second strike for you was?
it was the one where it was most like, oh my god, I have 3 million steps and I need this many steps.
For me, it was just not enough steps for everybody. If you can get it much shorter, better.
Yeah. I think the first few rotations, it was like, just concentrate on, all right, which one am I going to do next?
Yeah, there was definitely some of that.
I mean, definitely the first couple times everyone went through, it's like, set up, all right, cut, turn. Set up, all right, cut, turn. Set up, all right, cut. And then, as you saw each other start to make it into a flow where cut, cut, cut. Each of you tried to make it more into the, all right, I've cut, I'm gonna turn around and just single step cut. And sometimes that turned into a thing where the gold still goes, then cut, then strike, the way we've been striking everything else. Because we're getting those, I'm doing so many things at once, and focusing on, okay, I gotta make sure I turn all the way around to make that cut. And then the making the cut becomes the that. It's gonna happen, it's part of it. But it's, the reason I'm doing this drill is actually very similar to the things that happen in sparring. when someone steps offline, when you start circling around, when you start looking at your body positioning, and then all of a sudden what you're doing with the sword becomes muscle memory. So how much do we have that muscle memory of? I'm going to make sure the strike happens. Strike happens. Strike happens.
Probably lost most of my muscle memory in the last year and a half.
A lot of us have. But that's why we are doing these drills. So we're gonna go through 2 more times. The first time through, and I know I just said that we're focusing so much on making sure we get to the target, we're not thinking about the cut. So I'm going to ask you to do specific things for the getting to the targets. For the first one, step through, cut, turn over your left shoulder, cut, turn over left shoulder, cut. The second time through, turn, cut, turn back, cut from the left side, and then cut right side. Okay. Now, obviously, I get to do this first, so you'll have the example. So the first time, it's always turning to the left, making right cuts. We're going to go all the way through. Okay. And then the second time through, we're going to change the directions. So this time through is going to be cut, reverso, cut. Make sure you stay on one side because I'm striking the blade, not you. It's getting very close to that, isn't it?
Close to what?
Golden acid drill. Masks, we're going to get some water, talk about the drill, and I'm going to get some feedback from you guys. I like feedback. I like hearing, well, these are the things I learned about myself.
What we do, once we're using impractical portion of the turn around.
Yeah.
Try to reserve turn around. Like if someone has to for attack against different cards.
Yep.
So that's like that was the one drawback of this. Okay. If you have like these to a target that falls away and keep walking, which we can't do here.
Yeah.
And if you have more people, you can sort of set up a zigzag and turn around the food that body returns.
So,
I don't mind
I completely agree. The 180-degree turnaround is the least realistic part about this drill.
I don't mind it as a footwork exercise.
But-
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
that makes it harder to get flow because it's not something you are able to.
Yeah.
Unless you practice the 182.
Yep.
Then again, you would set, you would expect the technical situation.
Yep. I mean, then we get into the entire discussion about drills versus, well, techniques versus drills versus situations.
Yes.
Sparring, fighting. Because there's that entire continuum.
Yep. That's why I felt like the second one was
Mhm.
just because we get close to the 180 where if we had made the second one, Kurt or so.
So, that's part of why I'm getting the water break now, because the next part of the drill, because in the original way that Brian and I did this, it was cut, cut, more, cut. So you either are doing a cut to Post Malona or Iron Gate, and then lift and cut, or force to five and cut, or start with rising cut, turn to kind of vault cut. And we found that having them on opposite sides made it simpler for the targeting.
Yep.
Specifically the people pulling the swords, because I don't have to do the cut. Make sure their sword comes in time for me to cut back down.
Yep.
Justin, what were your thoughts on this drill?
Yeah, I think just establishing that distance, I think, is kind of key thing when you're turning around.
Mhm.
Especially distances can be slightly different when you're cutting from one side or the other in the entire build. So I just found that just trying to recalibrate exactly where I'm heading was kind of the thing I was focusing on as well.
Oh yeah, that last time around, I did the cut, turn, cut from the left. I was like, oh, that's that short from where I really wanted to hit. But it's calibrated. It's letting us know, oh, this is my range when I'm doing this.
Range can also always find part of your facing the point. It's also because you calibrate based on your head.
Agreed. Very, very fair.
Not that it makes this a bad drill. Every drill is something artificial.
Oh yeah, every drill. Morgan, how do you like it?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting that it didn't go as smoothly as I thought. Because in your mind, it's like you swing, you stepping swing, what we're doing, you're like, ah, shit. Which side?
Yes.
Well, it's like when we drill technique, practice. Oh, I'm just going to shield now because good points here. I'm going to shield and then stab him in the face. Simple, right? And then you get into a sparring situation, a fencing situation, a tournament situation where that point comes here, and all of a sudden our lizard brain goes, shit, 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 and we step back. Even if we got the sword right here, so we're tricking our lizard brain into doing the thing that we want them to do.
That's different, very difficult.
Yeah.
Getting yourself.
Oh yeah. Alright, so we are going to do one more drill with this, 2 times through. Or more if you guys want to do more. But it's going to be a cut, turn, rising cut, turn cut. Or start with a rising cut, turn, descending cut, descending cut. So I will leave it up to you which you want to do in which order. But the first two cuts, the ones that are back to back to each other, one of them will be falling, one of them will be rising. And the final cut is off. All right?
Just me have to get up on that.
Yeah.
Why do I do this to myself?
It's good exercise. Are there any questions before we get started? Make sense?
Yes.
Do you want to continue? Are you guys enjoying this one?
Yeah.
I would like to do the third one from below as well.
Okay. Then we'll do it one more time.
So like wanting to do the third cut from below?
Yep. Well, you can do the first, the second, and the third from below. Why not?
That's totally not what I did.
Do what you do.
Yep.
That was the third.
So what's the cut?
Try that again.
Yeah.
Better.
I think the club is getting away with making that cut. Yeah.
Now imagine it would be actual arm.
Up masks. So we're getting to that feeling of our distance, our timing. are striking, we're getting tired. I'm noticing that the strikes we had at the beginning versus strikes we're having now are becoming pushes. Because I'm pushing you to that. The intent of this drill is to have us do things and do things and do things and do things and start to get tired and start to get to that point of, oh, I just need to make sure my sword touches their sword.
That's when you get the retention.
I don't think the tired so much as my brain has just been put to sleep by going in a circle, then walking in a circle.
With hypnosis, it's strong.
Exactly.
The fatigue isn't just muscle fatigue, it's also mental fatigue. Because, and we've seen this happen with people fencing, people in competition. Physically, they're fine. They can continue going forever. But they hit a wall. We see that this happen with marathon runners all the time. They hit that wall. Mile 17, mile 1, mile 1 will be there. Well, but the wall isn't that physical exhaustion. It's that mental taking the next step, continuing through, and we work through it, we work through it, we work through it. Eventually, we get past that wall, and we start doing the thing that we know we can do. The thing that we've done 100 times before. But that's why we drill. That's why we go. Yes.
What's it called when finding a rhythm makes you really shitty? What is it called when you like fall into a rhythm and then everything goes to shit because your brain's like, it's a rhythm now?
It means you're dancing, not playing. Sweet.
I wouldn't even say that. Rhythm isn't bad. When you can't break the rhythm, it gets bad.
The rhythm is really good if you go through a series of techniques drills.
Yeah.
And then because cut out, and you do all the things in a certain way. It's great.
I mean,
even
there's something to be said, and this was recommended to me by Jane from Canada, that you drill chaining cuts and parries, and it's, cut, parry, cut, parry, cut, parry, parry, and so on. And you can vary what cut and what parries you're doing, but you're still getting into that rhythm, and it just gets you used to the idea of training together, parries together. So instead of just being cut, stop, it's cut, cut, stop.
Associate with something.
the assaulting in Molinese tradition. If you've watched myself and Kenny do the lightsaber stuff, we get into a rhythm and then we break that rhythm. Getting into the rhythm allows us to start to move, cover ourselves, do these attacks, make a cover, and then break it to make a strike. Same thing happens in Saber. Actually, one of the, if I remember correctly, I could be remembering this wrongly. If I remember correctly, one of the things that Richard Marsden talks about in Polish Saber is how they have these X cuts, creating this rhythm, and then they break the rhythm to make a strike, make that land level. Getting into rhythm is not necessarily a bad thing. It's when we get caught in the rhythm. When we get into a cycle where we're just looking for the next step, the next beat, and we can't get out of it. That's the trap that we set someone into. It's like, cut, 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 cut.
And it's similar to like the Buddha and then swear back, swear back, swear back, swear back.
So that's actually going to lead into the Edelson round, which we will find ourselves falling into rounds, which makes it easier to change under. And getting into those rhythms and breaking the rhythm is one of the ways that we can beat the drum. So I'm going to use, hold on, do you mind if I use you for the moment? And yes, you will be using master gloves. So, Noah has the sword out. The sword is pointing roughly at my nose. Without a step, it can be either left foot forward or right foot forward. I don't really care. I know that for cutting competition sake, you're not taking a step, you should have right foot forward. You're going to make a descending step. And the intent is to hit this part of the sword. Hopefully you actually hit it. Yeah. So even at extension, even if this can't quite, as I start to lean and do green things, my goal is to hit. We're going to do this 5 times, but as I am striking down, Hilda is going to drop the point when I'm swinging. I get a point every time I hit. He gets a point every time I miss. I get a point every time he drops the tip and I didn't go.
The risk, of course, is that people start aiming lower and lower and lower and lower. So one of the things you can consider is do this.
Yep. So, 2 to 3. I almost got you to drop it once. Almost. Saw the wiggle on it.
Well,
But,
the trick is I just this.
oh yeah.
That twitches.
But
Listen, the first time-
after we do this 5 times, Hill did tell me what my tell was, the thing that he noticed that I do before I make every cut. This twitches.
The first time I did this drill, I was told that my nostrils were.
That's why you're a Nazi.
So, nobody gets to do it.
I move this.
The shoulder comes up, the tip, basically your entire sword
Yes.
comes up because you go from a relaxed grip, and when you grip to create the forward motion, everything rises just slightly. So, thank you very much, sir. So we're going to pair up. We're going to do this 5 and 5. We're going to inform the other person what you notice on them. And then you take a short break and you do 5 and 5 again. Having been told what your tell is, try to break the tell.
Should be give them a little bit more space.
Yeah.
We're not aiming for problems.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Better. I've not done this drill.
Okay.
Alright, do you want to strike first?
Sure.
It's hard to say because you did one fake attack when you stopped.
What I was supposed to do, right?
No, you're not supposed to fake it.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
It's okay if you can trigger somebody, but starting and stopping is not just.
So you don't really have a lot of tells, but I think what I want is that you would just go still. Like naturally you have to relax and you just like pause on it.
I'm trying to not do what I do normally.
Yeah, I mean I can see it, I'm just too slow to move.
Okay, well that also happens.
Alright, what was I doing?
I can feel the legs starting when I strike.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can see like it like shaking right before it turns into the
I thought I was like doing something with my shoulders.
Like the show, the one time I was with you hit, I was watching you, but the leg for
Next time,
a much stronger signal.
that you're pulling your left hand.
Yeah.
And your right hand is just along the right. So just down with your left hand as you go into it. Better, better.
Move it. Guys do it twice?
No, I'm doing it one time each.
Then you tell each other what you saw.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do it again.
All right.
Try to eliminate it.
Same thing?
No, actually,
I got nothing.
so.
I was trying to do the opposite of what you
Yeah,
were.
and it worked. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything was.
But that was a good, that's the first thing
Which
you
isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that also means that you
Hey.
can keep on going forward.
Yeah.
What the
Which
hell?
means
This
that
number tries more to
generate
beat
the
you.
same- you're trying to generate the same power, the same speed, with less distance that your hands work.
Try this.
Bring your hands back.
Left hand.
Nice.
This.
Nice. Yeah.
Notice something happened?
It's the ones that it was still like the legs, but the ones where you caught me. Those were clean.
It's nice when you can like just take feedback like
Yep, so
that.
you're starting
and
position?
just immediately use it.
Yeah.
Now,
That's why I like lunges. It's very clear what needs to be done.
It's, I mean, to be honest, this is one of my favorite drills. I remember the first time I did this one, like, Jay was a brand new student, and I was like, I can't do this one.
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing wrong?
Oh, but he's like,
And then Tristan was like, oh, let me see. And then Tristan couldn't hit it either. And I'm like, okay, I don't
he
get
has
it.
bigger natural reflex. He's like
Yeah.
special forces over
who was this?
Jay.
Yeah.
It was just odd to know that it wasn't that I was fucking up. It was, no, he's just,
There's the reason he was selected for the job that he did.
So, how did you do?
Pretty well. Like
we gave each other feedback the first time, and we were both able to implement it, and it worked pretty well.
Got it like one or two more times?
yeah, it definitely improved over the first time.
Did you see improvement between the first time you did and the last time you did it? Noticing the actions that you're taking, the movements that you're making. Did you notice anything different in your setup?
Yeah, I'm trying to, instead of starting relaxed and twitching, I'm just starting like this.
He noticed it in my legs when I wasn't taking a step that I would be relaxed, and then that was the second time where I just touched my legs the same kind of intensity. I think that's a word.
It was like a
Tension.
squeeze. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that relaxation, that tension.
Awesome.
Are you Bill?
Nope, man.
Ben.
I'm early.
Yes, you are. Alright. Got a few minutes left, and then
Can you do one with step?
we will be doing one with a step in a moment. But before we do that, I just wanted to caution that, so we are using that tension or lack of tension as that tell. And one of the ways that we can remove that tell is by being tense before we move. That gets very tiring, very quickly. So we can start to use that tension and relaxation to create false tells, create the opportunity to go, all right. I mean, I use it all the time with my small step with that left foot. That small step loads everything up, but it doesn't mean that I have to cut. So I want you to do this one more time with that little step, but creating a false tell. Prepare yourself, and then making the action. I want you to Does that make sense?
Can you say that one more time?
I'm going to create a false tell
Okay.
to prepare yourself to act, but decouple it from your action. So if one of my tells would be this step, everything is tense ready to go, but the after cut is separate from that step. And it doesn't have to be that widely separate that step. I do. It all together. But know the tensions, the actions that you're doing so that you can relax until you want to do something. So we're not spending the entire time. So we can actually relax into making the action. We were waiting for it. This is a drilling smart games class. So what we are focusing on today is strike. 15.
Alright, so-
We'll wrap this up. We'll have you good to see.
So how many?
Usually between 4 and 6 people on Wednesdays, and roughly the same number, but not necessarily the same thing.
How would that?
Pre-roll on one day a week,
Okay.
and I had anyone between 4 and 7 people.
Sweet. So there's a few types.
So false tells with my hands and arms work better than my legs. False tells with my hands work better than my legs.
Right now, we just started the cycle. We can get you on the next cycle. And of course, do it twice. So, up from, yeah.
Move to.
I don't have to have
Yeah.
Hey, you are. Did you honor?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Who do I think? Cash, all right.
Ash is fine.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you for having me to work.
Of course.
I think that's like my only spare copy. So.
I have an extra half dozen copies in my bag. She thinks I'm not ready for the paperwork.
Look, I'm just going.
Keep doing the drill. Class isn't over.
Who did the drill?
Twice. As usual.
But yeah, moving to the area, I was, worried that, and I know we did at least one.
Yeah, sword class NYC is shut down.
They were the ones that were originally was aware of. The old authority, right?
Yeah.
Right, and fishing hours if we didn't have PA. So I was like, okay, that makes that sense, but obviously they're not doing as well as you want.
The biggest difference is they have dedicated space.
Okay.
So they have, we have renting the space.
Yeah.
You don't have a space that's ours.
Just because I think it works a little different.
Yeah. But it gives you a little more survivability, so that's
Yeah,
nice.
because it's lease to lease, rent, everything shut down, like, broadcast on the regular.
Those two
You get it. When you get a chance, go ahead and take stuff from the store there.
Yeah. Is there social?
I could tell like when it was way too obvious.
Yeah.
You did not go for it at all.
Mostly because I got a bag of swords.
I would say, is some of this stuff, all the stuff yours, or they all have their own?
So the fetters are mostly mine.
Yeah.
I think one of them is mine.
The fetters I mostly store
There
here.
you go.
Justin brings his along. Justin stores all of her gear here.
Most of it, you're not. My jacket's still on.
I don't blame you after hauling this through the subway. That's
Oh, it's a pain, yeah.
bit caffeine.
It's
Wrong to work.
I'm just, like, right now I'm just being lazy. I have my jacket and a couple letters at home.
Around this.
Yeah.
Essentially, we can store mask gloves, etc. here for you. Rebecca takes advantage of it because she's my wife. I take advantage of it because
You don't have to
I'm
haul
paying
it.
for it.
Yeah, right.
Well, just think of that entire year. I was the one paying for it before COVID.
Yeah. You also got the money. So we are going to do the next step to this drill.
Yeah, totally.
That kind of was intended, wasn't
Yeah. I got it.
That kind of was intended, wasn't it? We can't get these two in the same room together.
So the next step to the drill is going to be same as the first verse, except grabbing step. So use your partner. And we're going to pull it out. This time, you're going to be at such a distance that you can't touch it without a step. So you have to take a step. That's right. So obviously, they're still trying to do the same thing. They're trying to make sure that I don't hit it.
But of course, if you step and don't strike,
But if I step and then wait for it, and these are all making intentional movements. Now, obviously I don't have a mask of gloves on right now, and we are doing this very asymmetrically. So one person is the attacker or the aggressor, the other person is the defender. So step. If I were wearing mask and gloves, and if we've done this a little bit and we want to remove the asymmetric portion of it, as soon as I've made the step, he has the opportunity to counter thrust.
which we're not doing,
Which we're not doing, we're not wearing the chest protectors. This wasn't part of the original idea of the drill. But this is how we can use this drill to warm up next week before we do the coach sparring games.
Try that adaptation of drill you had before.
Yeah. If you want to wear the chest protector, we can add this to the open floor portion. But for right now, it's just trying to make that cut. Decoupling the cut from the step. Kind of wish the shots were here just so his brain starts to explode.
but that's not fair.
All right, let's mix it up. Grab your partner.
You want to do the thing first?
Sure. Sure.
That's so before you started swinging
Can
this
you back up a little so you can be more room?
But you still swung.
doing for this.
more than any other
Yeah, I
usual
realized, I was like, I'm so squeaky.
Like,
Try again and actually aim for my sword. I'm not moving for
like even the time that I just like
Do again.
go for it, like
Okay.
arbitrarily, like I heard the sound.
And
just
with the
instinctively
extension,
just
not
dropped it.
with the swing through.
Mind if I comment on
know
that?
what I was reacting.
Let's see, if you want to
I think sometimes
well,
I
you know
just
that
feel
if
like
it comes
I'm
down,
Mhm.
you can step forward.
I don't know.
But if you're down
She
here,
knows.
He knows.
I've been doing this a long time.
She knows.
I,
Yeah.
Okay, aim for the sword,
But-
and then you're gonna jump. Okay, now I'm gonna jump.
Stop hitting the floor.
Oh wait, that was a distance.
Stop
I'm
hitting the floor.
sorry.
Just a second distance.
I'm gonna stab you.
I'm going to grab the sword from you if you keep hitting the floor.
Again, I feel you're not aiming. Sword again. Yes.
You're dropping your arms all the way to the floor. Every time. When I'm saying extend, your arms to extend from here.
Were you taking this turn?
I was trying. I think I actually missed, but yeah.
Extend the arms.
Alright, starting now.
And now I'm gonna say, I don't know, we'll work on the thing, but this is the feedback off point.
Okay, that's fine.
Would you just sort of expose it and move it in the mirror once and she does a slight angle so you can work this out.
I think one more.
Good, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
That sound was like,
Yes.
Yeah, when I first did this drill, my drill was apparently going to start laughing. Alright.
Yep. Are you seeing what you need to work on?
Just doing stuff to hang stuff.
So, we got 5 minutes left. We're going to do a quick thrusting drill. Before we go on to the thrusting drill, how did that feel? Did you feel like you learned something about yourself? Squeaky shoes, very loud shoes.
Yeah.
You just distract your opponent.
it actually worked. Like,
I would just say, you know, he has very nice shoes, good tasting shoes.
especially the color. Look at that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you can either blend in or stand out.
I'm the black sheep of the Gillespie family.
All right, so the last drill is just going to be a thrusting drill.
Would you mind putting on?
I'm going to put on a Jackman mask for this drill. But to demonstrate the drill, it's going to be, I'm going to start here, off to one side. And I don't know if you could stand right there. But what's going to happen is, Bill is going to thrust in. I'm going to step back, thrust in again. Step back and chase another thrust. So it's going to be thrust, thrust, thrust.
Like reposing, like
Yep.
them running repose.
So it's going to thrust, make a cover, thrust,
Okay.
cover the other side, thrust. Yes, I'm going to put on the mask. Because I'm not standing behind this, but accidents happen. Almost got through the entire class without needing a mask.
no one's point from Bowles Park.
Well,
Probably went through the entire day with a headache the whole game.
this is developing under control.
Should we also wear masks in solidarity?
You don't have, well,
No.
you are allowed, if you would like to build up your muscle memory wearing gear, I'd recommend wearing it. Perfect. telling you to do it. After the thrust, bring your hands back